It's funny when you think about it. How did you learn to speak your first language? It's something every single one of us does, but it feels like magic, right? Well, it turns out it's more science than magic. And today, we're going to break down the universal blueprint for how our brains are wired to learn language.
No, really, just take a second. How did it happen? Did your parents sit you down with a grammar book, drill you with flashcards? Of course not. You went from gurgles to words to full-blown sentences, and you probably don't even remember how.
And here's the wild part. Your experience wasn't some fluke. It wasn't random at all. Turns out, pretty much every human on Earth learns to communicate in a clear, predictable, and totally universal sequence. And this right here, this is the blueprint. First, as babies, we just listen. For months, we're sponges, just soaking up the sounds around us. Then, we start trying to make those sounds ourselves. We start speaking. Reading, that comes way later. And writing is the very last piece of the puzzle. Listening, speaking, reading, writing. It's the natural order, and it's probably why so many of us get frustrated in language classes that make us try to write essays before we can even hold a simple conversation.
Okay, so we've got the how. We know the natural order, but what about the why? I mean, what is the actual point of all this? Why spend all that time learning words and rules?
This quote really gets to the heart of it all. The goal isn't to get a perfect score on a test or to memorize an entire dictionary. The whole point, the finish line, is being able to actually use the language in your real everyday life. That's it.
And real-life use isn't some big, scary academic thing. It's the simple stuff. It's chatting with your grandparents. It's watching a movie and actually getting the jokes without subtitles. It's being able to order food in a new city without panicking. These are the real victories. So, if we have these 4 core skills, listening, speaking, reading, and writing, how do they all fit together in our daily lives? Well, it turns out we use them in 3 main ways, or modes. This chart lays it all out, and it's actually super intuitive. A lot of the time, language is a one-way street. You're just taking it in. That's the interpretive mode, like when you're listening to music or reading a sign. Then there's the two-way street, the back and forth. That's interpersonal. You're having a conversation. And finally, there's when you're the one creating the message and sending it out. That's presentational mode, like when you're giving a speech or writing an email.
And you do this all the time without even thinking about it. Binge watching a show on Netflix? That's interpretive. Texting back and forth with a friend? Interpersonal. Even just jotting down a shopping list? Boom! That's presentational. See? You're already an expert at juggling all 3.
So if these are the modes we use, how do the pros, the teachers, actually build a plan to help us get better? Well, that's where this professional framework comes in. It's basically the official roadmap used in modern language education, and it comes from an organization called ACTFL.
And their whole approach really boils down to 2 huge interconnected ideas that work together to guide the entire learning journey. Okay, think of it like planning a road trip. The proficiency guidelines are your final destination. They're for you, the student, and they describe what you can actually do with the language, whether you're a total beginner or novice or more advanced. The national standards, on the other hand, are the teacher's roadmap. They give the teacher the goals and themes they need to plan the lessons that will actually get you to your destination. Pretty smart, right? A clear destination and a reliable map to get there. But a destination is a long way off. You can't just teleport there. You need mile markers, right? Little signs along the way to tell you you're making progress on that roadmap. So how does that work? And this right here is what makes the whole system click. It's so powerful. Instead of focusing on abstract things like conjugate these verbs, the progress markers are all about what you can actually do with the language. And they're literally called can-do statements. And here's a perfect example. Instead of a vague goal like learn food words, a can-do statement is super specific. I can order a coffee. It's practical, it's useful, and it's a small win you can actually feel good about. This whole approach turns a massive, intimidating journey into a series of small, achievable steps. All right, let's just quickly recap the big ideas we covered. First, we learn languages in a natural order. Listen, speak, read, write. Second, the whole point of it all is real communication. Third, we use our skills every day in 3 modes: interpretive, interpersonal, and presentational. And finally, great teachers use a system, a destination, and a roadmap built on small, empowering steps called can-do statements to help us succeed. So, after all that, I want to leave you with a final question. Now that you see this whole system is built not on memorizing rules, but on what you can do,
What do you think is the single most important part of learning a language? Is it the method, the teacher, or is it just the motivation to hit that next can do? Something to chew on. Thanks for tuning in.